Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Inside. Let's continue. Hmm. So we keep getting chased by dogs, and in different iterations we keep getting killed by dogs, and every time we end up getting horrifically killed by a foal, a dog, a monster, or a pig. I guess we haven't seen any monsters. Um, the parasites, I guess, aren't killing us, but then we have machines shooting us. But every time we see this, it just kind of further justifies that any actions we take are righteous, as best as you might figure that. Um, we have just been moving from the left to the right. I would definitely say there is a game I rather enjoyed, and I can never remember the name of it. That I think it's called the Compound or something, where you end up in this Metroidvania, kind of smaller than average world, and you have this magical like military suit that helps you run and jump and shoot guns. Um, we've got some people here coming up from some kind of sub. And see, those people may even look like they have facial figures. Uh, hmm. So I guess maybe the idea is to have waited until they had passed. Um, but yeah, there was a whole story of like saving your girlfriend in that that game. It was either called the Compound or the Complex or something like that. You just find this like secret military complex that's plotting to overthrow the U.S. government, which is not a terrible story. And it's not too different. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna make it all the way. It, um, from a lot of the environments that I see in this game, even though in this game it's making them very dark. It and there definitely were a lot more gameplay mechanics. There were cameras that you were actually shooting out, where we've seen cameras in the background, but all we can do is avoid them. It feels like the way you would expand a stage 2 to this. Oh, I was just supposed to open it and go down. Like, the light moves wherever you're going. And one assumes that if I was to move this around into different places, I'm not going to make some kind of platform to jump up to reach some kind of extra collectible or anything. At least not yet. So down we go. Yeah. But unlike the compound, what I suspect is going to happen here, or the complex, or whatever the name of that game actually is, Shadow Complex. That's the name of the game, not just the complex. Like, unlike this game, I don't think we're going to get any expansion of gameplay mechanics or abilities. I don't think there's going to be a lot of retracing of your steps. Um, it does very much seem like it's just always going to be go from the left to the right and never return. Hmm. Hmm. You may have to jump out here. I guess there's not going to be any accounting for decompression or anything like that. Let's see. Hmm. Um, if I touch nothing, it just hovers. If I press down, it's not giving any indication that I would be able to smash things. If I press X, B, A, Y, left trigger, right trigger, yeah, no new button seems to be doing anything. It would be very weird if we were just trapped. Ah, we are trapped here, specifically to build up speed and to dash with the A button, which is okay. Something to know. We are much more zoomed out now. And I think the game is intentionally trying to have us see that we are in something more than even a flooded area. It seems more like this was a lake or something. You get these bursts. You don't get a speed up. So this is a fairly large area. And it looks like there might be some more of these tanks and more junk at the bottom, more robots, but definitely feels like there should be somewhat of a massive reveal here. Maybe the massive reveal is that there's just a big facility underwater, or tank. It looks like rock, and the tubes definitely seem to be pushing you down towards seeing where that crack with the light was coming from. And it does look like it is just flooded kind of all the way to the top, and then there's just a hard ceiling. So you just have this giant empty area. The game developers of this, Playdead, seem to really have embraced that idea of having giant empty areas. And while we've seen reasons to have giant empty areas a couple times, we've also just seen really long paths and forests that barely had anything in them. And I guess we're looking for yellow wires and generators. So we're going deeper and deeper. I suppose it is an interesting question as to how far does this character that we're playing as, this boy, how far does he have to go to find safety? Is the entire world under some evil control that he must flee, or does he just have to get outside of a city, outside of a area? This says 2 on the floor, and I think they meant for you to see that. Like, how far from safety are we? What is our actual goal? All those are things that you don't have to have voiced, but you could depict in any way whatsoever, instead of just leaving it. Okay. Hmm. 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 Seems like you have to really break this up. I don't know if there's a reason for this or if we're just trying to weaken the foundation. It seems like it probably would stop at this beam. Interesting. I don't know if they really expected the... Yeah, I'm not sure if they really expected you to shoot yourself up into the air like that. So I guess it's two questions here. Do we shoot ourselves up to this door, which probably never open, or were we supposed to break this because this is where we come to the surface and leave the thing? I think this is where we come to the surface and leave the thing. Arguably, maybe there should have been some sort of cutscene or something at that level. Something that made it very obvious. There are definitely times in games where you see a character just do something and you may not understand why they're doing that thing, just because the creators of the game have written them to do that thing. And while that often feels pretty terrible, it is worse to expect the player to figure out that they want you to do something when there's been really no indication that that would be a goal. We've got, I think, some rats running around. Alright. So I just missed something. And I can't go back in there. Or maybe I can. Okay, thank goodness I can get back in there, because that was going to be weird. Okay. So we've got to go up. And then we've probably got to find some kind of ball type thing. Something that would roll. And that way it could roll past this point and be used to open the door. We see that there's a switch here, and we see in the back there's a number 2 tank with a crack in the window. And this seems like this broken window might be where we're going. Yep. Okay. So let's hit this quickly and then run. And stay out of the way while all these fall. Then let's try and figure out what happened there. Interesting. It seems to me like I have to do a couple things. A, not get rolled over by these. Don't jump. Come down here. See if we can press the button on these, I assume this is gonna explode, but I don't know how we're gonna pull this off. It feels like there should be something like, yeah. It definitely doesn't feel like there's enough time to press this button, move a little bit, get it exactly at the right angle that you could hit the button while he's rolling. So maybe this is more of a case where when you've survived this far, you just need to go back up in a loop and see if maybe there's a new button to press. Or there may just be a whole nother puzzle to this. And yeah, we're just back in the forest. We just went from building the forest again. If you told me that this whole thing was more of a psychological journey than a real world journey, I'd believe you, as you just continuously seem to go in loops. Okay. So that lifts you up higher. And the game has effectively trained us to not be afraid of the dark, but to embrace the dark and be afraid of the light. So you want to play fairly thoroughly here. So yeah, it's like weirdly there are trees in a factory up, and the trees in the factory are connected to pods and wired up to electricity, but yeah, none of it really makes quite enough sense. Okay. So this would just have us fall if we fell here all the way down. So instead we wanted to reach this. It definitely feels like there's a bit of a Portal influence in this. Yeah, and these puzzles are getting bigger, much bigger than I would say the puzzles in Limbo. We just saw something. Let's see if we can investigate further as to what that thing was. I think that was supposed to just be a jump scare. And we could definitely go back fairly far. Hmm. Hmm. Although if we see something swimming, I guess we take it as a danger because everything has been a danger to us. Um, with maybe the exception of the chicks and the rats and the pigs when they don't have parasites in them. Everything else definitely does seem to want to kill you on sight. Right. To hit the right button. Jump through here. Which I guess that means didn't need we didn't need the barrels to explode after all. you get these kind of weird orange glowing elements in the background, and it feels like something you would interact with. Shadow Complex also had a sequence of a flooded area that looked a lot like this. Inherently, Portal 1 in particular, as a game, would not be good if it didn't have amazing writing. They really went the extra mile to have amazing writing in that game, and otherwise the platforming Portal puzzles would be alright, but nobody would be amazed by. It looks like we are following a wire here, so this is probably yet another achievement generator. So when you play this game and there's no story, that doesn't quite work. Let's just look down here and make sure there's nothing underwater first. It does feel like getting all of these generators might lead to a different ending. Okay. So what happens to these people if I jump out and he's in the water? Would he just float? Hmm. Hmm. Okay. He seems to have just floated. And the brain that seems to have just caught him. So there we have an achievement. And what's interesting is that immediately when I turned that off, turned off the brain control devices. So at least now we know what we're doing. We are freeing these marionette puppets from being controlled. They don't seem to regain any consciousness or anything like that, but I think most sentient beings would prefer their bodies not be used as machines after the fact. Definitely would change the story, and it would be more of a interesting conversation if it was a case that all these marionette puppet creatures are actually people who just died naturally, and this is just reducing the amount of burden of labor on living people. But I think there are definitely people who would say, no, you cannot just forever use our loved ones' bodies as beasts of burden. Interesting. It doesn't seem like it really wants me to be able to get into the submarine until the water has been lowered. I don't know what the reasoning was to lower the water. maybe it was necessary to open this gate. That may have been the case. And again, we are probably wasting a lot of time looking for... I'm gonna drown. You drown incredibly fast here. You're wasting a lot of time looking for extra things when I wouldn't be surprised one bit if there are only 4 generator puzzles. This one we just found is not particularly complicated as a puzzle. So it would be weird if there was several that I had already missed. And now I understand why the water needed to be drained, because we needed the water to be high to get the submarine over the top. It probably could have still jumped even at that point. The scaffolding that's falling apart in the back kind of seems like that would be an important thing. Yeah, I guess the submarine probably wouldn't have made a jump directly over that. Whereas it definitely can make a jump through this. And that puts us back into this safety. There's far too much safety in this game. We're just kind of barreling through the whole experience. Okay, so I see a long-haired creature, or I see a long-haired creature eating the head or brain of a human. Or humanoid. So let's follow this creature. It's either being fairly happy to see me, or it's being paralyzed by the light. Doesn't seem like it's... I guess we gotta just figure out if it's gonna attack us. Let's just point the light away and see if it will attack us. Okay. So there we learned. And once again, this game is just running into the Sonic problem, where until you know where the thing is that's going to kill you, you don't know where to go or what to do. In Sonic, usually that's a spike in a wall that's just to the right of the screen. In this case, it's more of a creature. Now, I guess that's our first fantastical creature, and I assume that was just one creature and not a long black hair creature that was also eating the brains of a humanoid. Very well may be a parasite thing. It might change the story of what kind of world this is, if this is a world full of parasites that control humans if they have brains, and thus, in an effort to prevent the parasites from taking over, humans have become these brainless marionette puppets. This is too far to go. Yeah, I can't tell if I'm supposed to be going to the right or the left here. I think we go to the left because the right has always been more story progression. So if there is anything extra or surprising to see on the left, really just looks like it's a big wall, big dam of some sort. As soon as you go under the water, you can't see the surface. As soon as you go under the surface, you can't see the water. There's no happy middle ground there. And yeah, kind of seems like that's potentially a missile silo opening or some kind of military style opening. Well, actually, let's try one more thing with this. We're probably done here. Nope, we're already stuck in the sand. I was gonna try and jump it so it would be even more in the sand. But no. No go. So another 30 minutes have passed. We are experiencing this game fairly linearly as far as time is concerned. It's just like you do 30 minutes of gameplay, not that much happens. Then you move on to doing another 30 minutes of gameplay and not that much happens. It's not feeling much like an act-based game or an act-based story where you would have a first act, second act, third act type experience, or even that much of a story that even has a beginning, a middle, and an end. If the first 30 minutes happened in the middle of the game, there really wouldn't have been much difference. And unfortunately, that creates a situation where there's really not a lot to say. So that's going to be it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend to follow me on any social media sites, there's a whole bunch of links down below. And if you want to support me further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a gift card. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.